Hi guys, it's Lynn here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Now guys, in this video, just a quick video, I'm going to be sowing my Opuntia ficus-indica seeds that I got from the fruit, probably back in October, November now. And actually bought one of the fruits from the one of these supermarkets that sell fruit from abroad. And I was really happy to see Opuntia fruit, that lovely big juicy fruits from the wild, from the ficus-indica Opuntia. And there, obviously, it was a huge big fruit. And if you haven't seen that video, do check that little video out when I bought the fruit, and I also harvested the seed as well. Very exciting. And this is one of the fruits here. It's one of the big red fruits, and I'm going to be sowing it. And I've sowed quite a few Opuntia seeds before in the past, and many videos I've made have always had 100% success, which is very good. And I've already made a video on how to grow cacti from seed, and I go into a lot more detail in that video on how I prepare the soil, how I also prefer to grow them in little baggies like this, and my reasons why. So I'm not going to go into that in this video because I've done it many times. So do check that video out on how to grow cactus from seed, and that's where I explain the methods. But very brief, I sterilise the soil first in the microwave. This is purely optional, but I find that it does help to minimise some of these sort of fungi and things like that, and bacteria, the bad ones. But this is optional. As I say, some people never sterilise the soil, have no problems. Something I just prefer to do. I like to add a bit of extra perlite and sand as well to the soil to give a bit of variation. And I'm using a loam-based seed sowing compost. Actually, this one I'm using is a John Innes one, a seed sowing compost. But that's just a particular type of soil we get here in the UK and Ireland. But I prefer any type of loam-based soil you can use, or any well-draining soil for sowing seeds. And as I say, I just added a bit of extra horticultural sharp sand and a bit of perlite in for drainage there. And I've thoroughly soaked the pot in water, in clean rainwater, but I actually boiled the rainwater first. Again, purely optional, you don't have to do that. Something I prefer to do, minimises the chance of any bad bacteria and fungi as well. And I've thoroughly soaked the pot, immersed it in there so that the water's rose all the way up and it's fully damp. As you can see there, you don't want the soil to be like mud, just enough so it's wet enough to hold the seeds. Now, what I've done, Opuntia seeds are a little bit different to normal cactus seeds. They're much larger for starters, and I prefer to soak them overnight, or at least for 12 hours, to soften up the outer shell. And I'm just going to show you here what they look like there. That's the seeds all in there soaking in was warm water when I put it in there, not now. And I've left them there overnight, and thoroughly helps to sort of loosen them up a little bit. And this again is an optional thing to do, not something you have to do. Some people like to scarify Opuntia seeds because they have a harder outer shell than normal cacti seeds. And by scarification does help to reduce a little bit of the hard outer shell. But that to me is too tricky for me to do. I've had great success sowing Opuntia either straight away or soaking them. But recently I've been preferring to soak them. I do think it helps speed up germination a little bit. And there's quite a few seeds there. And I've changed the water a couple of times over the past few hours because it removes any of the little bit of pulp that was left on from the fruit the last time. Again, that reduces the chance of fungal attacks as well. And going to be now draining this off and putting the seed then onto there. Now that's the seed all drained there into the little sieve, and that's a good way of catching the water. And as I flushed it through a couple of times to make sure that there's no still any fruit left on the pulp, and then all you have to do here is lift this up so you can see a little bit better, is just evenly sprinkle the seeds. Now they are large seeds, so I'm going to put them all on here. I'm going to spread them about with a little tiny little spoon here I've got, and you can either put them on individually, but these, because there was quite a few of them. The most important thing is that they're all spaced out, so when they do germinate, they're not going to all be growing on top of each other. And as I say, not all of these will germinate. It's purely just luck. So I want to make sure they're all spread across here, so they're not all close to each other. And what I would normally do with very fine type of seeds, I would normally sprinkle probably a tiny bit of sand or a little bit more of the soil on the top, just enough to cover them. These are very large seeds of punches, as you can see. So what I'm going to be doing in this case is gently pressing them down, as I'm making sure that they're spread out evenly, so they're not all going to be growing on top of each other. And just enough to gently taper them down. And I think I will put a tiny bit of soil over the top just to cover them again, because they can just germinate like this without any problem. But I think it's good just to gently cover them very, very slightly with a bit of a top dressing. So what I might do here is put a tiny bit of sand on the top of them, because that's just going to protect them a little bit. So I'm just going to show you what I do there. Now, this is for the horticultural sharp sand there that I'm using. And always make sure that you use proper horticultural sand and not builder's sand that can be high in other type of things like salt and stuff like that. Definitely not see normal sand from the beach. And what I'm doing is just very gently sprinkling it over across, just enough to slightly cover them there. But you don't want to be putting it on too deep. And also make sure that the sand you're using is also damp, because if you use dry sand on top of seeds you're trying to sow, it can dry them out before they have a chance to germinate. And as I say, the one good thing I like about growing them in the baggies is that because the bags are sealed, it stops having to worry about having to keep watering all the time. And then I keep them in the baggies then for about 3 months, or really when it depends when they're large enough to come out. And I explain all that in the How to Grow Cacti from Seed. Always make sure that your hands are clean as well, by the way, especially when you've sterilised the soil. And that's it. So that's what I'm going to be doing there. Just make sure the little one's covered. And what I'm going to be doing then is putting them then into this baggie and labelling it when I'm actually sowing it. I've got Opuntia ficus-indica and sown February 2019. And there we go. Like so. I'll probably stick that with a bit of sellotape so I know it's not going to come off. Now the reason why I'm sowing them now, when it comes, people have said, when's the best time to sow seeds? Well, I always say spring is the best time if you have a choice. But if you have grow lights, as in this case I have, you can sow sort of seeds any time of year. And sometimes winter can be good to start them off. Now, I still prefer to sow them sort of from February onwards. Now it's February, natural daylight is starting to get here. So although I'm going to be putting these under the lights, once they've germinated, I still prefer to use natural sunlight as much as possible. And what I'm going to be doing these to help these germinate, I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be putting these into the boiler cupboard upstairs where we keep all our towels and the boiler, hot water boiler. And the heat from there is going to encourage faster germination, because Opuntias are very slow to germinate. They can take 3 months, even sometimes 6 months. Some of mine have took 5 months to germinate. I nearly gave up and they've germinated. Usually around 2 months, sometimes even less than that, they'll germinate. So the heater, the warmer it is, the faster they'll germinate. And they don't need light when they're germinating, they just need heat. So always a good tip to put them somewhere warm to help them germinate. Once they've germinated and you can see signs of growth, it's important they need light straight away. Then put them into a window that's going to receive sun or under grow lights, and then it will encourage them then to start to grow. Now I've got the bag here, just put a bit of sellotape on the label so the label's on. I'm going to be putting this then in our boiler cupboard. This is our boiler cupboard here, and so this is where we have the boiler, so it heats the water and it's going to keep this nice and warm. And then could take a while before this germinates, but once it does, then going to be then putting it into the grow room in here, and probably putting it under the lights, as you can see. Sorry about the light, guys. Under the lights there to encourage a faster growth. So guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll just show you some of the other little seedlings we've got here. We've got a few little different seedlings all on the go, looking really pretty good. So I love growing from seed, and including some Opuntias that we've had really good success. There's some Opuntias there in the window. You can see just at the back, behind the in front of the phalaenopsis, I should say. See their little Opuntias all growing. So should have hopefully good success, and all different little ones here. Some Trichocereus, some Echinopsis, and all a mixture of everything. There's Christmas cactus, lumbagia seedlings there, all labelled, all happy. A lot of these I grew probably this time last year actually. As you can see, they're still very small, so growing from seed is a time-consuming process but very rewarding. And even this little Euphorbia canariensis is there doing well. And here, Epiphyllum, I grew from seed too. So guys, thanks so much for watching, and I want to send you loads of love, heaps of happiness, and tons of plant power. As always, from across the Emerald Isle. Until the next video, bye.